Hi guys. Okay, just wanted to make sure. I had a little bit of a lag. Okay, so remember that we talked about the cell membrane and the different characteristics of when it came to the cell membrane. And we also specifically talked about the different types of cellular transport. Now today we're going to create a foldable, and the foldable is going to highlight the main processes of those 5 different types of transport. Now, before we begin, let's review specifically on what we're going to do. So remember, hypotonic is when the concentration level is high on the outside of the cell. So the water will move across the membrane and cause the cell to swell. Hypertonic is when the concentration level is high in the inside of the cell and it causes the water to leave, which makes the cell shrink. Isotonic is when the concentration level is the same in the inside as well as the outside. Endocytosis, remember endo meaning in, is when the cell actually takes in a product. And exocytosis is when the cell releases, exo, exit, it releases a product. All right, now that we know the 5 terms that we're going to focus on, let's see how we're going to make this foldable. Now, if you notice, I have given you a white sheet of paper. You're going to take that paper, you're going to turn it to the side, and you're going to fold it. That's it. Let's try that again. Take the paper, turn it to the side, fold it. That's it. Now, once you fold it, we need to cut it. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm not going to cut it quite yet because I want you to be able to see what you're going to do. But I did draw lines on each place you're going to cut it. Now, you're going to make 4 cuts and you're going to have 5 flaps. Let me explain. 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flaps. Do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flaps. Now remember, when you're doing these cuts, make sure they're as even as possible, because remember, you're going to put information on here, so you want to be able to read it, and you don't want it to be kind of off-centered. You want it to be very neat. So take into account what you're really doing. Really pay attention to what you're doing. So remember, our 4 cuts, and we're going to create 5 flaps. And I've also provided a picture so you can kind of see where I'm going with this, but that's exactly what I need it to look like, okay? Now, after that, let's talk about what we're going to actually put on it. Now, it's 5 different types of transports that we talked about, and it's 5 flaps. So, of course, each transport is going to go on each one of these flaps, okay? So let's use endocytosis, for example. Remember, endocytosis is when the cell actually takes something inside. So you're going to draw, illustrate the process. Not write the term, you're going to illustrate the process on the outside. This whole page will just be full of illustrations. I do not want to see any terms or any descriptions, just illustrations. Once you open it, immediately after that flap, you're going to write the term right here. You're going to write it here. So remember, our example was endocytosis. So you're going to write the word endocytosis here. Once you get over here, you're going to write a description of that process. So for endocytosis, I would briefly say something like when the cell takes in a product. Okay. So let's do that again. For example, endocytosis, but of course you're going to do all 5. Endocytosis, I'm going to draw what that looks like. The term, the actual word, endocytosis, I'm going to write here. And a brief description of the process of endocytosis right here. Now, I did do a flap on my own. As you guys know, I love to do the work with you. And I actually did endocytosis first. So let's see if you can see. You see how I have my 5 flaps and they're fairly equal. I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but they are actually colorful, and that's what I need yours to look like, okay? So let's see. We have endocytosis. I have illustrated how it actually moves outside of the cell. I have the actual word. Let's see if you can see that. I have the actual word, endocytosis, right on the other side of that flap. And I have a brief description of what that is. And I have done that for each one of these, okay? So my vocabulary words, the terms, will each be, wait a second, I'm going to flip this over, okay. So the vocabulary words will each be on the back of those flaps, and that main sheet of paper is where I'm going to write all of my descriptions. All right, now remember, I need this to be as colorful and as neat as possible. The more effort you put into it, I promise you guys, the more you will enjoy it and the more you will remember the concepts, okay? And please be neat, please be colorful. I want at least 3 different colors, because if it's any less than that, it's not colorful. And of course, you will be graded on this. So have fun and enjoy.